Hello, I have no clue whether I'm live. I hope it's working. Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's live around the massive shift that it's about to happen within the office culture on a corporation level, and my thoughts around this. Let me give you some background. At the beginning of the lockdown measures, mid-March, I personally had a hard time keeping myself the way I usually am supposed and normally am, like keeping up my drive and my motivation together. And also hard time seeing a sense in doing the work I wanted to do on a daily basis, and especially handling my brain and mostly all the shitty thoughts that were coming up, all the news that were changing 150 times a day, and the whole uncertainty which came together with the measures. But then, as I'm somebody who tendentially puts effort in bouncing back and being resilient pretty strongly and quickly, I started wanting to discover and seeing the silver lining around the current situation. And in connection to the last video a couple of days ago, I shared at the beginning of the week how to ask for what you want at work, and go watch it if you haven't seen it. Today I wanted to add some reflections around what I think it's highly probably going to be the new normal in the corporation world for the new future and the years to come. It's actually a very important moment and time we're going through under so many aspects. And for those who are watching me for the first time and landed by chance on my page, welcome. My name is Claudia De Pasquale, and I accompany mid-career professionals who find themselves unfulfilled in their high-pressure jobs by setting up an inside-out career strategy to increase their success at work. And most of all, what I'm deeply passionate about is that I consider myself being on a mission to end the money or fulfillment struggle that causes lots of high-pressure jobs professionals huge internal suffering by taking them through my method, the Career Leap Formula. So for today, before I dive into the topic, let me share with you a little secret. I'm actually enjoying showing up on here, and I'm pretty determined, for those who know me, to become a pro at these live broadcasts. It's a great opportunity to put some lipstick on and to have some fun. I'm having fun. I'm actually asking myself, why did I wait so much time before I decided to do these lives? Well, if I'm honest, I know why. It's because of the fear of the camera, most of all because of that, and then all the technical things I had and still have to find out before I could feel internally secure. But here I am, and I have to say it's really fun, and I'll keep on going with this. Now, let's go back after this little secret sharing. Let's go back to the topic of today. The massive shift, I think, is going to happen, and is actually currently happening within the office culture right now. So, to make this clear, I will not be talking about how many people have lost their job, how many countries are facing a recession, because we can read that from the newspaper, right? You don't need me to tell you that. I want to talk about some positive aspects and shifts, possible shifts within the working culture that I believe are most probably going to shake things up and modernize some of the most traditional approaches corporations can have a tendency to persist with. And one huge aspect of that is the realization that now, more than ever, employees of corporations are very capable of doing their work remotely. And so many of them appear to have done brilliantly. so well that I've spoken to a couple of people who told me that their CEOs have complimented them for their productivity level, that they were surprised to see that the results of the first quarter, even if March was completely invaded by the turmoil of the home office measures, has been extremely productive. And they were very impressed by the professionalities of their employees. Team meetings via Zoom, client meetings via Zoom, or even other online meeting tools, the human relationships have been kept alive while the work has been done really efficiently from home. And I think has also been a huge new realization, which personally I think is gigantic. Our work from home was deeply mixed up with the rest of our lives, and many people had to learn how to set up boundaries, and that meant for them to learn how to communicate appropriately about their needed space and their quiet time in order to be able to experience some detachment, right, and some inner balance. And despite this closeness and mixing up of private and work life, they have been doing their work. And after having gone through an initial learning curve, some swearings and some suffering, I also had the opportunity to speak to some people who openly told me that they definitely want to have more days during the week where they will be able to continue working from home and keep up with their home office work schedule, even when people will be supposed to go back to their offices. So what's the result of these realizations within the last 8-9 weeks within the corporations themselves? So one huge element we can identify there is a higher flexibility in regards to the office hour presence. But flexibility, in my opinion, is just the forward to what I consider to be the massive shift that will impact the office culture of the post-coronavirus world. What I see happening is actually much more than flexibility itself. I want to cite somebody I follow intensely and admire, workforce expert Judy Thompson. And she has said, work is not somewhere you go. It's something you do. And I couldn't agree more with her on this. And what Judy Thompson has been realizing and studying over time is what is gradually shifting and coming out in a much clearer way than prior to these coronavirus lockdowns and home office conditions is that people don't want flexibility. They don't want more flexibility. They actually want complete control over their time. So what's going to happen is that we're going to view the working world in a completely different way. Because reality is, what we have learned these weeks is people absolutely do not need to be physically present in their office in order to be able to complete the work, which needs to be done, let's say, by next Friday, okay? And the current situation will force many companies to elaborate a very well thought out and solid work at home and business continuity plan. Will be a lot more reflective about whether we will be ready to sit in rush hour traffic or commute an hour every day, one way, like, for example, my fiancé has to do each day when he was going to the office. And what I also consider extremely important is that at the decisional level, this work at home business continuity plans do not have to sound like those that were applied before with employees where they will still going to the office. In my opinion, the biggest mistake managers could be making for the next month is when they try to apply the same office rules to their people who are going to continue working from home. And many HR departments might possibly now thinking, because they find themselves in front of a situation they've never had to face before, right? How do we manage mobile workforces? Because people are not used to working out of the office all the time, and they don't know how to prove that they're working. So how are we going to measure their productivity? And what's going to be really relevant there is that the employees themselves, you, can focus on delivering measurable results. So it's going to be really important for companies and their profitability, especially in the next months to come, how they will position themselves towards their employees, especially towards those who will actively express their need for working more often from home, having more home office days. And a culture of cooperation, of clear and transparent communication, of trust in the workforce being cultivated from the management side, a culture of non-labeling, and where employees don't feel that they are controlled but more held accountable, is what these weeks of home office work can bring more of, and what I deeply wish for. And you guys, as employees, you can be responsible for this too. You can request, you can ask, and you can be demanding. And if you want to know about my tips in regards to asking for what you want at work, I invite you to go back to my last video on this very same page. So this was it for today from me around the topic of the massive shift I see coming in the office culture. And I want to invite you, as usual, to spread the love. It's always welcome. Share it with the people you know need to hear this. And feel free to connect with me on all the socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, or you can follow me on YouTube. If you want to know more about who I am and what I do, I would also love to invite you to sign up for my newsletter. I'm going to put the link underneath the video and wish you a wonderful